Leadership attributes. The essential question for today is how will you develop your leadership attributes? We should be able to describe the leadership attributes of character, presence, and intellect, and analyze how character, presence, and intellect affect leadership. And we should also be able to define vocab. So, becoming a good leader or becoming a better leader can be frustrating, but don't worry, let me help you. Now, you may be asking, how can I help you? Well, come here, child, and listen to this lecture. If you remember from lesson one, leadership attributes, or some of them were character, presence, and intellect. And so these were important because the attributes contributed to competencies, habits, and skills, and these helped you produce results as a leader. So one of them was character. So this can be grouped in with your identity as a leader, Army values, empathy, service ethos, and discipline. So your identity as a leader is that you self-identify as a leader. This may seem like it's not important, but it actually is. For example, if you're trying to quit smoking, there's a difference when you tell people, I'm trying to quit smoking, or if you say, I am quitting smoking, or I've quitted smoking, or I am not a smoker anymore, right? There's actually a difference um, in how you perceive yourself and thus how you act. Um, Another part of your identity as a leader is how you are perceived by others and also your leadership role. So here's an example. For me, I wake up every morning and I yell, I'm a leader, yeah, with bedhead. And I am perceived by others, at least Liz Mam, who graduated last year, I am perceived by others as friendly. And my leadership role contributes to my leadership identity. So an example of that is how I act and how I'm perceived by others, and my self-identity as a leader, as an executive officer, is different than, for example, Jason has when he is a battalion commander. They're just different. You're perceived by others differently, your job is differently, so you identify differently as a leader. Another part of character is your Army values, your loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. So, an example of how those contribute to your character as a leader is one time I was leading practice last year in Raiders, and I led without personal courage. There was a couple Marines from Lakeshore, they have an office there, that came here and, they started telling us about the Marines, and they were presenting us and asking us questions for around like 20 minutes in the middle of my Raiders practice. And if I acted with personal courage, we would maybe listen for a bit and we would respectfully tell them, we have things to do. We you know we set out here with an objective, and we plan to commit to that. Can you please let us do what we were doing? But instead I didn't, and so we wasted some valuable time, and yeah, we got pushed around a little bit. They were nice people. It's just, I should have let them know that, um, what's it called? That we had things to do. And yeah, that's my fault. I did not act with personal courage, and that's how it affected me, and that's part of my leadership character, and I need to improve on that. Um, Another part of your character as a leader is empathy. So, how you relate to a person. Now, this is different from feeling sorry for them. Feeling sorry for them, an example would be, for example, if Peter Chun, a member of Raiders, right? So, if he said, "Oh, my finger hurts," or I have a wrist tweak, right? I would not feel sorry for him and say, "Oh, you should go home. Oh, you should not go to Raiders practice." Of course, he has the option of doing that, but I would not tell him to. I would just, lead practice and do exercises that did not involve his finger, for example, wall sits or sit-ups, right? So it helps him and it helps me to do that instead of feeling sorry for them. It doesn't help him when I feel sorry for him. Uh, Another part of empathy is anticipating how decisions or actions might affect your team members, and empathy helps you interact with others. Another part of character is your service ethos. So the guiding beliefs of how you lead, right? Your values. So those relate to the Army values and any other value you can think of in Lowell JRDC, which may be, for example, fun. A good example is the Cadet Creed. Um, Another part is discipline. So self-control, right, is a big part of being a leader. So you work towards set goals that you've set and you don't procrastinate, for example. So for example, if I set a goal as a leader as like, everybody in Raiders should be able to do 5 pull-ups, then I should be able to work towards that and not make up excuses for myself. For example, oh, I'm sore, I won't go to the gym today. Um, Another part of discipline is your ability to control your own behavior and not let emotions control you. So controlling anger, for example, or preventing interpersonal relationships interfere with decisions. So for example, if I really like this one person, I'm not just gonna do decisions that favor them, like explicitly. I'm going to uh, look at it from all standpoints. Okay, I'm not gonna let uh, interpersonal relationships interfere with decisions. So that's character. That's that leadership attribute. Now, we should move on to presence. We've covered character. So presence, military and professional bearing, fitness, confidence, and resilience. So professionalism. So leaders should look and act like professionals. They should lead by example, for example, by, staying focused, and they should deal with new and unexpected challenges without, making complaints or make excuses, right? They should always act like a professional, like they're there, they know what they're doing, right? It's easy to follow a leader when they act in such a way. Another part of presence is your fitness. So basically just be healthy, right? You don't have to be like Aiden Tran and have a six pack on top of your six pack, right? It's just things like good hygiene or exercise and nutrition. These are things that, are already kind of things that are good for you, that are expected of you, but they're especially important when you're a leader because it's a stressful role, right? So health helps you deal with that, helps you recover faster, right? This helps you become a good leader. And a really important part of that is getting sleep. That's why I put it twice and in caps. Another part of your presence as a leader is your confidence. So your faith placed in abilities. Now, this is a difference. There is a difference between confidence and being cocky, right? So, um, being cocky can actually uh, inhibit you as a leader, right? So you can fail to self-evaluate, to listen to feedback or input from team members, and so you will fail to grow as a leader, right? And it's good to be confident because it's contagious. Confidence is contagious. It benefits the leader and the team, right? So it reduces anxiety and stress. For example, if everyone is confident and, is sure of their abilities in the team, rather than if, you're following someone who isn't very confident, who is like, oh, I don't know, right? Another part of that is resilience. So here's a video.
Johnny,
Yeah.
sorry to tell you that you have to return to your life of debt.
Yeah?
The people clap loud when you win a Grammy. They clap louder when you win an Oscar. But the people clap the loudest when you fall. And Champ got knocked out today.
There are some last words that I'd like to say to the group. Guys, I don't care how tough you think you are, nothing hits harder than life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, okay? And don't be pointing fingers saying, I'm not where I need to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you.
Cool. So that is a man displaying resilience, right? He mentioned um, being able to bounce back. It's not about how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So we can describe leadership attributes of character and presence. Now onto intellect. Intellect is, it relates to ability to generate new ideas, solve problems, and reason, and how have sound judgment. And some parts of this are in the top right: mental agility, sound judgment, innovation, interpersonal tact, and expertise. If you're curious about what mental agility means, it's in the bottom right. Flexibility of mind and ability to anticipate or adapt to certain or changing situations. I think the graphic up here is pretty funny. There's number 3, facts and blue handshake, and that represents intellect according to the RO textbook. So, mental agility, your ability to adapt and react. It relates to inquisitiveness, which is basically your curiosity, your ability to be open to new solutions. And it also relates to critical thinking, so your ability to examine a problem in depth from multiple standpoints. Um, Sound judgment, it's kind of repetitive from the RO textbook. Um, I still have to teach it though. So it's basically critical thinking, which is what was just on the last slide. Um, Here's an example from the textbook. Jade is a battalion leader. She dislikes Ryan, who is always making jokes and kidding around. Everyone knows Ryan, and most people are at least a little irritated by him. For their fundraising team project, she goes with her gut feeling and does not assign Ryan to the clown dunk booth. Instead, she assigns one of her friends who is more popular at school. At the end of the fundraising event, Jade learns the clown dunk booth did not raise as much money as expected. Now she wonders if her personal likes and dislikes led to her making a bad decision. She imagines how many people would have liked to dunk irritating Ryan. Now, from the RO textbook, this is clearly bullying, but it also is an example of how your feelings towards a person can come in the way of sound judgment and critical thinking, but it's also bullying. Thank you, RO textbook. Uh, it's also repetitive. The lesson, I have to teach it to you guys, but it's repetitive. Innovation. It's kind of what we already discussed about mental agility, and that's just a picture of two people who are kind of done with things and tired, and that's how I feel right now. And another part of intellect is interpersonal tact. So tact is basically not offending people, right? It's speaking and making decisions that everyone's okay with. So when you're doing or like making decisions or talking, speaking to people, you should consider different things like diversity. So someone might be thinking differently because they're from a different background. They may be feeling different things. So you should be able to read a room. For example, you shouldn't suggest a rap battle at a funeral, you know. And expertise is pretty self-explanatory. It's knowing the ins and outs of your job and knowing your role in an organization. So, for example, um, if I'm a taxi driver, right, I should know the ins and outs of San Francisco, and I should know my role in this organization as a driver, right? I should know what I do, what other people around me do is also important. So, we've described the leadership attributes of character, presence, and intellect. We've analyzed how character, presence, and intellect can affect leadership through the example here, and now we just have to define vocab. So you can pause, you can write these down. I'm not going to read them all. Okay? Cool. Thank you.